And we are back live at the Real Deal Forum. We're joined today by Peter Zaitzeff. He is the sales director of new development at Serhant, with more than $4.8 billion in career sales and over $300 million in the past year alone. Most recently, he co-brokered the $60 million sale of a duplex at 150 Charles Street, highest ever paid for a condo below 34th Street in Manhattan. We're going to talk about that. But first off, thanks for being here, Peter.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Of
course.
It's a pleasure.
So before we get to 150 Charles, I want to talk about 200 Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Which I guess for people who don't know, what were some of the legal troubles that 200 Amsterdam had before your involvement?
So before we took it over, the building, the community board was up in arms because they thought the building was built too high.
Yeah.
So they wanted to lop off part of the building itself that they had already built. So it was stuck in legal limbo with the community for about a year, where they paused sales. So they started sales, BHS paused sales, and then they went back into sales. But it was, that was an interesting time because I don't think we've ever in the history of New York been gotten approvals from the city, right, to build, and then have the FAR to build it, and then all of a sudden you have to stop work, right?
Yeah.
And then potentially lop off the top portion of the building.
But thankfully it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
There was no magic trick at the end of the building.
No.
So, obviously it's always good for business when you pause sales for a year. That's great to just be paused for a year.
Yeah, super good for the building, super good for PR. I think their PR team that we still work with did a great job of handling everything. Yeah. The developer did a great job of handling everything because eventually, they knew they were in the right. They had bought the FAR from the synagogue to the south of the building, and they had every right to build it, and it ended up being a beautiful building in the end and good for the area in general.
I think it's now close to fully sold, right? Or there's a few.
We have a very few units left. So we have a penthouse that's fully built out, and we have 48, which is a full floor, fully built out, and then we have one more white box to sell.
Okay, so three left.
3 units left.
So how did you do it? How did you walk into a building that was fraught with all these legal challenges? Obviously, it was in the news.
Yeah.
You have this dormant activity period where you're not really sure what's going to happen, so you can't even market the building appropriately.
Right.
How do you go in and kind of approach that challenge?
So I think I came over from Corcoran to Serhant to do this building, and Ryan, I didn't know all of Ryan's capabilities and the company's capabilities prior to joining. And I think the first or second day on the job, we filmed this incredible launch video, right? And it was repositioning the building within the 57th Street corridor, right? Relating it to the buildings like the 220s of the world, the 111 West 57th of the world, the Central Park Towers of the world. So we repositioned the building quite strategically from day one. And that started with this video that we did. Ryan and I are in a Mercedes driving from Bergdorf Goodman around the park and then up into...
Who drove?
Ryan drove.
Oh, okay. Did you
that
jostle?
was actually a discussion.
Did you jostle for driving?
Yeah, I was like, Ryan, can I drive? He's like, no, I'm driving. And I think it was the coldest day of the year, so we're in suits. Yeah. And it was literally probably wind chill was 10 degrees, and with a top down too.
Yeah.
But so
you have icicles in your hair.
Icicles in my hair. People are all like, "Why are you wearing gloves?" And we're like, "Are you going to commit a crime?" Yeah. But we're like, "No, we were freezing." But I think repositioning the building when we first took it over was a huge factor in the momentum that we eventually got, right? Because the building was stagnant, the sales were slow, and rebranding and repositioning the building within those other very successful buildings was a really key element to how we were able to get sales velocity from day one. And I think we sold one of the larger units, $21 million sale, which they hadn't really done before at the building, and that was in the first week of sales.
Would you say that video kind of helped push that particular sale? Like,
I think that, like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, marketing wise, you can't quantify it, right? But I think we certainly hit the ground running and made this the focal point. Ryan made this the focal point of, like, hey, this is a huge takeover. We've got to do it right.
Yeah.
And I think we ended up succeeding with what we had planned to do.
How did any of those tactics and strategies transfer then to 150 Charles, which was...
So 150 Charles was sort of a different animal, right? Because 150 Charles I happened to have off market for probably 6 years. And that was a resale, right? For the $60 million sale you're referring to. So it was a resale, and the price, the client was very, I wouldn't say difficult, but he kept raising the price. So I happened to have offers on it previously, and like, say we were asking $40 million, we got an offer at $35 million. Then I said to the broker, you know what, that's not gonna work. He wants 40, he comes to 38. We then raise the price to 45. Then he comes to 40 or 42.
Yeah.
And then we're like, no, you're not hitting the bid. So that eventually went away. And then it was off market for a while. So it was a totally sort of a different strategy of sort of like,
was it just a hard unit to price? Is that why? Like, it was not a hard unit to price, but it was certainly one of the most, if not the most unique apartments, let alone in the West Village, but all of downtown, right? Because you have views of the river, you're 6,000 square feet interior, and close to 3,000 square feet of exterior that is right on the river, which you don't get really anywhere else in Manhattan, let alone the West Side Highway. How did you kind of position that ultimately for this record sale?
That was more of like a broker to broker. So like with 200 Amsterdam, it was a wide net, right? We're casting a huge net. We're going out there with media, with everything that we can muster to create, to reach as broad of an audience as possible. Most of our buyers ended up coming from the tri-state. So you had empty nesters moving from Long Island, New Jersey, Westchester. And so we were able to reach them. With 150 Charles, it was much more of like broker one-on-one strategy, where it's like, I called like the 5 top brokers that have the 5 clients that are looking in the $60 million price point, and then brought them through the door.
That like, I guess you did kind of a flood the zone approach with 200 Amsterdam.
Exactly.
But that's not going to work with a $60 million unit, or you're going to be wasting a lot of marketing dollars on people who might like feign interest, but really they're not going to have the ability to buy it.
Exactly. So it's like, it's again, much of the one-on-one aspect of the brokerage business, which I like grew up on, right? It's the broker to brokers, it's the 5% of brokers that have that type of client, and the personal relationships that I've built over the last 15 years with those guys.
So when you get these unique properties, it's more of a hunt.
Exactly.
The right person.
It's more of like, and I talked about this with like the Real Deal, it's the Hermes bag that you can't buy, right? You have to be on a list, you have to be a client for 20 years, you don't have the opportunity to get it. Same thing with Paddock does the same thing with their clients. Long-standing clients that use those products, they don't resell them, right? Because Paddock doesn't want that.
Right.
They'll sell it to them to retail and they'll hold on to it. They're not looking for the huge profit gains. And so I find that strategy with that type of product different, totally in opposite to like a 200 Amsterdam launch.
Yeah. How would you say that your strategy, since you joined Serhant, has kind of incorporated this kind of more media forward focus with the old school, very important broker to broker strategy? And I would imagine like with the advent of AI and the rise of AI, that broker to broker strategy is ever more important. But how did you kind of incorporate the two?
Yeah, so I think that like I've sort of since coming to Serhant, I was private on Instagram up until about 8 months ago, right? And I knew the show was coming out, so I wanted to I had to capture that. I was going to be a public person.
You might have wanted to remain private when the show came out, but
yeah, exactly. But they're like, no, you can't. But I was apprehensive at first, but I've embraced it.
Yeah.
And I've seen what we're capable of doing through media, through social, and that's not to say that you can't remain true to who you are in social, right? I display like a lot of who I am on social, and you want to showcase yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, we're creating a brand for ourselves, and if you're true to who you are, that brand is going to come off the most authentically it can be.
Yeah.
So I showcase my kids on Instagram. I showcase my life and my lifestyle. When I first started in the business, there was a guy named Dennis Mangone, for instance, right? And he was like, he's a rainmaker in the business. And he was like, Peter, we're selling a lifestyle. So like that was drilled into me when I first started as an intern working for him. I just did it in a different way than I'm doing it in the last 8 to 12 months with the media and with Instagram and then with my social platforms.
I find, and Emily, I don't know if you agree with this, like for when I use social, and obviously we have a very different business than you do,
right.
I try to come across on social the same way that I do in person.
Exactly.
So I'm taking what I already did,
right,
which is just like sitting in a corner and not talking to anybody.
Right.
And I'm doing that on social media.
Right.
And that's why it's so boring.
Right.
Is really what it comes down to.
And that's authentic, and that's remaining authentic. I find like we've done a bunch of videos on social where it's actually like me negotiating in real time. And those videos do the best.
Sure, of course.
Because it's so authentic.
Yeah.
People see what they're getting. The people see what they're getting, the real you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they also, I feel like this is very similar to law. Our clients don't really know what we're doing. Like they know what our phone calls look like and what our emails look like, but they don't know like the real value that we're giving them.
Right.
Because they're not lawyers. They don't understand it. They can't understand now they think they can because they put it into Claude or ChatGPT.
Exactly,
but overall, it's hard to kind of show your value proposition. Right. I'm sure it's similar for you. Like when you're negotiating, clients might think, well, how hard is that really?
Right.
What does that really consist of? So I love that you're showing...
You're showcasing that and in a real way, and it's a real value add. And like I like to think that like I fight tooth and nail for my buyers. I fight tooth and nail for my sellers, no matter what side of my deal I'm on. Like every last dollar is important to them. And ultimately, this is a relationship-driven business, and that's what like I want to showcase. Like relationships are what's important. Relationships with not just the clients, but with the attorneys, with the title people, with the people that you're working with on a day-to-day business. Then also information is power. So for instance, on a normal day, I'll take 125 calls. And that's not, I never cold called. Those are client calls. That's attorney calls.
Yeah.
That's calls with other brokers to understand like knowledge is power, right? So the more you know about any single deal, the more you're able to help your client get that best possible price or get that best possible listing that you could get for them.
I love that. I feel like people don't understand the value of those relationships, especially to make a deal go smoothly.
Right.
It's so important that everybody works synergistically to get the job done.
100%. Like the broker to broker deal making, I can pick up the phone and call any broker because of the last 15 years of being like a good, honest person, right? And pick up a call and be like, hey, what do you have here? What do you know that's coming on? And like, they'll tell me, right? And then a lot of people will call me too, and I'll be like, you know what, I have this listing on J Street. It's $4 million, it's 2-bedroom, and they'll be like, no, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom in Tribeca, but I want something similar. I'll have often heard from other brokers, oh, I have this, so I'll direct them, like, call Madeline, because she has something coming on at 70 Best Street. So, like, I'll direct them and do the right thing, and I find that pays itself forward.
Yeah, because it reflects on your personality as trustworthy for the network that will then give you inside information down the road.
Right.
So, switching gears for a second, it's well documented that the new development inventory is low, right? I mean, that's what's happening in the city. There's constraints on building, so new development is lower. What are you seeing buyers at the 10 million plus respond to right now? What's working, what's not working?
So you're certainly right about new development dwindling. There's close to 4,000 units available in inventory, and that's like hidden inventory right now. There's only planned 1,900 units between now and the end of 2027.
Wow.
So that's roughly 6,000 units. The market absorbs 600 to 625 units per quarter. So if you do the math, we're basically at zero inventory by the end of 2027. So I might be coming to work for you, or you might need other jobs because there's going to be nothing to sell. And that's artificially going to raise prices and raise demand. So that's something.
So you can make enough money over the next 2 years to retire after.
But then so we have to really focus on the next 2 years because inventory will continue to dwindle. There was a second part to your question. I want to answer that.
Yeah, it was about what are buyers in the luxury market what are buyers responding to, and what are sellers looking to do with their inventory?
I think smart money is understanding that the inventory is dwindling, and that's why we've seen what I think is the most consistent market since I started in the business around 15 years ago in the last year. If you look at the Olshan report, it's 30, 35 contracts, 38 contracts per week for the last 12 months.
Wow.
I've never seen a more consistent market in the last 20 years, in the last 15 years since I've started, which I think shows that the luxury and then the ultra luxury, the big money understands that, like, if you're not buying in New York City right now, you're not buying in New York City unless you're a Jeff Bezos, for instance, right? I
love that.
So
that's your pitch.
That's my pitch.
That's a great pitch.
That's a great pitch.
I'm buying tomorrow.
Forget about it. Just forget about buying.
Now,
and I've never been that passionate, I will say, in like all of my career. I've never been like, I'm not a pushy broker. I've never been like, buy now, sell now. Like, Mondani's going to change the city and they're, like it's going to turn into a bad place. Like, I've never, ever been that. And I don't think that, I think this city is the real estate capital of the world. It's the financial capital of the world, and it's the social capital of the world. No tax, no mayor is ever going to change the dynamic and makeup of this city that has been, for the better part of 200 years, the same place.
Maybe you would be a good lawyer. That sounds like a great opening statement to me.
What's that?
I said you'd be a good lawyer, so maybe you're welcome on board.
Yeah, I told my kids the other day, I was like, maybe I'll run for mayor, and they were like, my son looked at me like, horrified. He's like, you have to be kidding me.
You know what? I feel like we're going a little off topic, but I feel like
who cares?
The way that Mamdani won with like basically an influencer focused campaign. Like he was he won by being an influencer.
Right.
He tapped into the younger market through social media. You're probably going to see some very unconventional candidates who understand how to use social become mayoral candidates. So why not you?
Exactly. And why not any of us?
Yeah.
And I think that's certainly true. Whereas before you had like the big names, you had to be the Bloombergs, the Giulianis, the Koches.
You needed a lot of money.
You had a lot of money. Whereas like he tapped into the grassroots movement, and maybe there'll be more competitive, mayoral races in the near future.
Keep building out that Instagram portfolio, and you're
Exactly.
You've made me very excited about New York right now.
What's that?
You've made me very excited about New York.
You pumped her up on New York.
You're
bullish on New York.
I'm so bullish on New York. I mean, I think it's a beautiful place to live. It's one of the most, if not the most diverse cities in the world. There's nothing not to like about this city. Like, you can walk out your front door. I can order whatever food I want. I can take my kids to Mexican every Friday night and have the best Mexican. I can have the best pizza and Italian food. I can walk out. I can go to the park on runs. Like, you can make yourself here, right? It's a large enough city where, like, what you put into it is what you get out of it.
Yeah. I wanted to ask very quickly about Owning Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I was telling you before we started that we spoke to the entire first cast.
Yeah.
I don't think you were not in season 1,
Not
right?
in season 1. I wasn't at the company.
You weren't at the company yet.
Yeah.
So, two-part question. One, how has becoming, I won't call you a reality TV star unless you want to be called that.
I'm like D-list, F-list, Z-list maybe.
Okay. How
you
do
can call me Z-list.
Let's call you C-list. C-list reality TV star. How has that kind of, if at all, changed the sales process for you? And then bigger picture, kind of using the platform that Owning Manhattan has kind of given you in the company, how has that changed the sales model for Serhant?
Yeah, so I think that for me personally, I'd like to remain true to myself, right? So yes, I have a larger platform and a larger audience to do that, and I want to give people insight into sort of like the last 15 years of my life and like what real estate is, and remaining true to myself and authentic is the most important thing.
Yeah.
I've realized that I need to sort of embrace it. So like I have a social media manager that handles all of that stuff and creates really, really, really good content for me, right? So I've embraced that more, embraced Serhant as a company that's doing this in really creative, innovative ways. It's a younger company, right? So like we can move, we can be nimble, right? Because we're ever changing. The real estate platforms are ever changing. And like somebody like Compass, I think does a good job, right? But like somebody like the Corcorans and the BHSs and the Sotheby's that have, and the Elmans that have these long ingratiated relationships within the real estate market are less able to pivot and be successful in today's fast-moving economy and fast-moving market.
Yeah.
If that answers the question.
No, it does.
Yeah.
So I know that you've built your career around kind of architecturally significant buildings. Projects by Robert Stern. I'm not going to say this right. Raphael
Vignoli. Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't that hard. I could have said it. I could have said it like a normal person.
Raphael Vignoli, Robert M. Stern, Alan Wanzenberg, Rick Cook.
I should be letting you speak. Why am I even talking?
He should just
I
say
don't
them
really
all.
know why I'm talking. For buyers in the luxury market, how important is that piece to the buying decision? Does that factor in? How do you leverage that?
100%. I think like you want to buy from a reputable developer. You want to buy it from a developer that's passionate about.
We hope not, so I can sue. But
but yeah, so you want to buy from a reputable developer. You want to buy into a building that has a pedigree. Oftentimes, architects and designers and interior architects play a huge role, right? Because like what Robert A.M. Stern did, yes, his buildings are beautiful, right? And they harken back to the old limestone facades on Park and Fifth Avenue, right? And he's did a beautiful job with the way that those buildings appear from the outside. But when you're living in a home, what really matters is that it's designed from the inside out. You want livability, right? You want bedroom bath counts that work. You want living spaces that are not confined, right? Because you want to entertain there. So what Robert A.M. Stern built his career on is these really gracious layouts that made sense at the high end of the market.
Yeah.
They're not just beautiful, they're comfortable.
What's that?
They're not just beautiful,
they're comfortable. They're homes. They're places people want to live and people want to congregate. And you know, I won't, for all of my clients, like I'm pretty forthcoming. Like if I wouldn't live in an apartment, I wouldn't advocate to buy that apartment.
Yeah.
Right? So like there's beautiful architecture. I live in Tribeca, like super awesome lofts and old school buildings. I obviously sold 150 Charles. Like Rick Cook designed the outside of that, and Alan worked on the interiors. And Alan was known for doing custom homes for people uptown. But I've been very, very lucky and fortunate to work with some of the brightest minds and the best architects, the best developers in the business.
That's awesome. So, Peter, if people out there want to see your listings or work with you or find out more about you or see your kids on social media, where should they go? What should they check out?
So I'm Zaitzeff Zaitzeff on Instagram. And then they can always email me, Peter Zaitzeff at Serhant.com.
I want to watch the video of you driving in 10-degree weather. So I'm going to do that right after this.
It's so good.
Podcast is over.
It is so good. It's literally Paramount Pictures could not have done a better job. Literally.
Look for it now.
It's so good.
Well, Peter, thanks so much. Good luck, and we'll talk again soon.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.